All right. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you guys. I'm very happy to be home again after my camping trip up in Colorado. I was hanging out, meditating with the bears. We were practicing bear attention. Okay, there'll be no more of those. I'm firing my riders. And so I was up in the mountains, taking some time, seeing some friends, enjoying some music. And the mountains are very expansive and restorative for me. When I get up there, it really just expands everything, my perspectives, and just everything just becomes so much bigger. And special thanks to our team. Dave just walked out, but special thanks to our team for taking such good care of the Sangha last week and last Sunday. So thank you to everybody, all of our volunteers. Ricky, tell Dave when he comes back in that I mentioned him in gratitude. Now, I purposefully do not use the term vacation because what would I take a vacation from? I mean, is there not only the practice always, every day? And all I really did was just change the conditions, right? My surroundings, that's all that really happened. I just changed the conditions and I went from, here, Kansas City, to the mountains. And even in some cases, it wasn't really all that different because I think there's just as much dirt on the floor of my apartment than there was in my campsite. So, it's kind of like not all that different. But what I noticed on my trip was how on my trip, so much of my practice is on awareness of the causes and conditions that surround every moment and the cycles that those go through. Causes and conditions are a very big and important part of the Buddhist practice. And so today I would like to talk about my experience on my trip and how causes and conditions were such an important part of that. See, in Buddhism, cause, condition, punishment, reward are all intertwined in an awesome dance that is not unlike the many variations of the four elements: fire, water, earth, wind, which of course we recognize within ourselves in the same way as the breath, as the body, as our metabolism, and as our blood. So the four elements and as well as causes and conditions are all intertwined and create so many variables in every moment of experience. And this is a very important thing. So put a pin in that for a moment as I move on a little bit with this. So we have these kinds of interactions, and we notice in the same way within our bodies that, for example, when you think about water, right? When wind touches water, it can create a solidity. It becomes ice. It becomes solid. When fire touches water, it becomes a gaseous, right? Well, notice that even within ourselves, because all of our scientists in the room, most folks realize, understand that human beings are like 78% water. That makes up a much larger portion of who and what we are. But in the same way, look at how within us, for example, a thought may be just simply ethereal, just kind of gaseous. It's just a thought. It has no form. And yet, it can take form when we collapse down onto a thought. We attach to it. We believe in it. And then our thoughts, our words, and our deeds solidify the thought. And so in the same way that there's this dance of the elements, we too have this same dance going on within us. And this is referred to in Buddhism as causes and conditions. The common thread for all dharmas and Dharma talks is the law of cause and condition. Regardless of whether it's Mahayana Buddhism or Theravada Buddhism, which is our roots here at Temple Buddhist Center, whether we're talking about worldly aspects or transcendental or even metaphysical aspects, all phenomenal existences are products of the proper mix or blend of cause and condition. Can you see the implications of this? What are you blaming? There's no one to blame. I know it seems that way, and boy, it is so easy and it feels so good to just collapse everything down onto one person. Now I can really focus my anger. But it's delusional. It's all a blend of thousands of variables that come together at a certain time and a place, not only externally, but internally. It's our own state of mind when we suddenly hear a piece of news. My teacher used to talk about the spoon in the sink. You know, okay, it's just a spoon in the sink. But for someone who's been cleaning house all day and is already feeling not respected, it is a lot more than just, I'm getting some hallelujahs here. It's a lot more than just a spoon in the sink. So you see how causes and conditions can form in just a nanosecond to create an experience. This is very important. So the invitation today is for us to explore together some points within the teachings on the law of cause and condition. Now, I want to make something very clear. The teachings and the writings on cause and condition within Buddhism are vast and are extensive. So today, we can only hope to scratch the surface, but sometimes that's all it takes, is just to bring an awareness to realizing that I have collapsed down onto one person, place, or thing that I am blaming for all of my troubles, all of my problems. And it is delusional. So the invitation today is we can use these problems, these things that bother us, as grist for the mill, as an opportunity to awaken. So the first one I want to talk about is cause and condition within human relationship. Okay? So nowadays it's very popular to talk about interpersonal relationships. You know, with good relationships, everything goes smoothly. Otherwise, obstacles and problems abound. And so, you know, events and products, obstacles, all these kind of things. Events, my friends, are the products of combinations of forces, with the major forces are the cause, okay? And the lesser forces are the conditions within which some event or interaction with a friend or a coworker or a person, a clerk at the counter, there are all these forces that are going on. I love Eckhart Tolle likes to say, he says, my perception of me is trying to have a conversation with my perception of you, and your perception of you is trying to have a conversation with your perception of me. So really, there's four people trying to communicate here. It's a wonder we communicate at all. So in our relationships with people, bringing an understanding to just that alone can help create a buffer, can help to create some space, and even more importantly, understanding. As Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh tells us, understanding is love's other name. So when we realize that there is all of this going on, all these perceptions and ideas, let alone egoic mind states, there are so many variables happening. What we can do to offer to this is in our practice is patience. One of the things that we talk about that we list in our refuge prayer, patience, understanding. So we must learn to be humble and appreciative of the relationships that we have with other people. Arrogance shuts off even the best of causes and conditions. One such example of that was the story of Bodhidharma and Emperor Wu. So, and I'll keep it short, but at one point, Bodhidharma came from India to visit China and was asked to visit by the Emperor Wu, who considered himself a practitioner of the highest order. And when Bodhidharma got there, Emperor Wu was like, look at all these temples that I have built. Look at all of the monks that I have supported financially as they go through their practice. Look at the shrines and the statues that I have erected. Am I not truly a benevolent practitioner of the Buddhist way? And of course, I think you all know where this is going. The Bodhidharma's like, no, not seeing it. Think about it this way, right? If a panhandler approaches you and asks for money, if we give money from a place of pity and, oh gosh, it sucks to be you, and oh, poor guy, all of this, it is actually unskillful at that point to give them money because of where it's coming from. Emperor Wu was actually giving in order to be seen as benevolent. So there's a quid pro quo going on there. That is not the way. When we give freely from our hearts, not from any kind of egoic mind state, not because we think that their life sucks and here I am, the benevolent, I'm going to help them. Look at me, how wonderful I am. This is not the way. And so that's kind of why Bodhidharma did what we gave him a Buddha whack. Not seeing it. So number 2, I want to talk about how do we know cause and condition even exists? So how can we be certain that cause and condition really exists? How can it be discovered and even harvested? For example, let's take any machine, right? Any machine at all. Let's say a machine in a factory suddenly stops functioning. The technician opens up the machine and discovers a small screw is broken. The small screw is the cause. And when cause and condition are not fully satisfied, the machine will not function. I mean, even look at our cars today, right? Many of us remember when, you could pop the trunk and, crank a few things and the car would run great. But nowadays, all it takes is one hose or one wire to come unloose and the whole thing ceases to function. So we see right here cause and condition at work. Now, let's take that a step above. I often have people come to me and say, yeah, well, what about death? You're a Buddhist. What happens to you when you die? And then they want to get all metaphysical and talking about what this scripture says and what this scripture says. And I'm like, stop. Just open your eyes. Can you not see? Look around you. All the answers you need are occurring right in front of you. Causes and conditions are happening constantly. You see a asphalt street covered with, there's trash and there's rocks and there's debris, and yet right there in a crack is a little flower that's blooming. How in the world life was able to find a foothold in that environment? And in the same way, when you look at a cloud and you turn away and you look back and the cloud is gone, we know the cloud is not gone, it has become rain. And in the same way, when you look back and the rain has stopped, the rain isn't gone, it's become nourishment for all of the grass and the bushes and the flowers. And when you look away and the flower is there and then you turn back and the flower is gone, no, the flower is not gone. It has become nourishment for the deer or for the bunny. I mean, what is it you're seeking? What is it you don't know? What is it that is not provided for you when you simply become aware? Stop playing up here in all the billions of thoughts and ideas that flow. That flow itself, when you become aware of the flow itself, teaches us so much. We realize we're not the thinker of thoughts because they just come unbidden. It's just the result of cells doing work. Cause, condition. Our true nature is the awareness of all these things flowing by. Sit back, relax, enjoy. That's all we really have to do. And yet we struggle so hard because there's a belief that says he who, the one with the most toys at the end wins. Yeah, no. So no matter what problems or difficulties we may face, we must first reflect. We should examine the situation closely for any missing causes and conditions. When I hear people talking about the news and the things that are going on in our society right now, there is that immediate, blame, judgment, them, us. But when I stop and I recognize what the mind is doing, it's very human. If I can find somebody to blame, then this is all a lot easier. But when I see the mind doing that, I then relax, I settle into the cushion and I practice. And what I see is missing. The cause and the conditions that are missing is we're caught up in knowledge. The world doesn't need more knowledge. Oh my gosh. Anything you want to know, it's at your fingertips. We have so much knowledge, but what good is the sword of knowledge without the hand of wisdom that wields it? Wisdom is what's missing. Enter our practice. That's why you hear Robert and I often say, this is our time. We are built for these times because Buddhism is a wisdom tradition. We are cultivating wisdom, understanding, love, compassion. That's what's missing. And that's what we are offering to the world. The egoic mind wants to go, that's not enough. I need to march and I need to get into somebody's face and convince them that they're wrong. At the same time, they're getting in your face and trying to convince you that you're wrong. And we're back to Eckhart Tolle, right? There's all these perceptions of everybody just bouncing off of each other. So, number 3, I want to talk a little bit about the different levels of cause and condition. So within cause and conditions, there are varieties of cause and conditions. And so we want to take a look at these from basically, there are many perspectives, but let's look at the top 3. Number 1, having or not having. So cause and condition is not a matter of knowledge. It cannot be learned by research or by debate. It simply must be experienced through the heart and mind amidst our daily lives. In other words, our life is our practice. Everything that arises and comes up is an opportunity to awaken. And so if we come to understand cause and condition from real practice and experience, then that is having the true understanding of cause and condition. Under the law of cause and condition, our natures are all equal. The universe is us, and we are the universe. When I was up in Colorado last week, I got a chance to visit the Rocky Mountain Folk Festival. And so I went from solitary camping and just experiencing nature to 5,000 people. But that too simply turned into a different kind of a meditation, a different kind of a practice. And it was so amazing to see so many faces, colors, sizes, shapes, body types, clothing, ways that people express themselves, the singing, the dancing. And what arose for me was how awesome, as human beings, the universe cannot hear music, but it can through us. The universe cannot see the dancing children and their laughter, but it can through us. We are the universe experiencing itself. Do you understand how amazing that is? How auspicious it is to be born a human being? Because in human form, we have a better opportunity of knowing that we are the universe experiencing itself. Animals have consciousness, but the one thing that at this point we're not sure that they have is to know that they know. As human beings, we have that one extra aspect of our consciousness that we can know that we know. We can be the universe experiencing itself. And when you're in that state of mind, even the difficult and painful things in our lives, it's not that we have to go through this, it's that we get to go through this. And we take steps, we take action. When we experience anger, we know that that is a line in the sand for us. That anger means that something is not okay with me, and I will now take steps. I will send letters, I will write, or maybe I will go to the dog pound and I will walk the dogs and I will give them love. Or maybe I will go to the halfway houses and teach meditation, or I will bring them clothing in the winter. We take action, we participate in the process of life. There's just no drama. There's no bad people. There's no evil, there's no wrong. There's just cause and condition, always in flux. Billions of different variations of cause and condition of the elements all forming. And so finally, we're still working on those three. I want to talk about wholesome and unwholesome. So when we take action from a place of fear, greed, and hatred, when we've created villain and victim, then all of our thoughts, our words, and our deeds will simply create more of that. That's karma. It's not about being reborn as a platypus duck. I don't want that to happen. But people always are like, how do I make sure I don't come back as something? No. That's not what we're doing here. It's every intentional thought, word, and deed in this moment creates your next moment. So that's how we begin to, the Dalai Lama was asked, hey, how can you boil Buddhism down to the fewest words possible? I think it was a reporter that asked him this. And the Dalai Lama sat there for a moment and he thought, shaping intention. Can you bring awareness to your intention with everything that you say? When you reach out to touch somebody, what is your intention? The egoic intention is to console them. The true intention is because you're uncomfortable when someone else is crying. You can ask, how can I help? How can I be a friend? What can I do? And then if they say they want a hug, then yes, you give them a big bear hug and you let them know they are loved. But when we just go and do something because we think that's what they need, then that's generally unskillful or unwholesome, so to speak. And then the last one that I want to take a look at here is internal and external. Causes and conditions can be internal or external. External causes, of course, and conditions are the commonly noticed environmental factors. Internal causes and conditions are more related to intrinsic values, mind states that you are in right now. For example, it's kind of like farming a field. The external factors may be the same, but the harvest from the different seeds within are different. Another way to think about that is like think about siblings, right? Same household, same parents, and yet, because of the internal causes and conditions, they can grow up quite differently. So how do we cultivate favorable conditions? So people nowadays tend to have even the right tend today to not even have the right understanding. We often look at the world in a topsy-turvy way. We think fame and fortune, which is the cause of many afflictions, as pleasure. More attention. Look at me, more things. Amazon, click, 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 click. And we see this as pleasure, or we take pleasure for it, but it's really just a hit. It's no different than a drink or a toke. It's just a moment of pleasure. It is not the true pleasure, as Jesus put it, the peace that passeth all understanding. And so, and even out of our equal and undivided, unbounded original nature, which we all have, every human being on the planet has an original nature. But yet, even out of that, we create divisions. We create superiority and different degrees and level castes, if you will. Ignorant, intelligent, educated, uneducated, black, white, gay, straight. The labels are endless and they're delusional. Race isn't even a real thing. It is truly geographic. People born in a certain part of the world, their bodies adapt to that part of the world. That's all it is. And yet we create separation and division because of that. And so we start first with that wise understanding and realizing all the causes and conditions that create the different kinds of people, that create their different mind states, their belief systems. You know, people sometimes challenge me and sometimes they'll maybe even be very evangelical about whatever it is that they're purporting. And the truth is that they believe this way because they were born into it. If they were born in a different country, they wouldn't be talking like this at all. So geography, really? That's how you're going to divide people? So cause and conditions. But we can also flip that, can't we? I can bring that to a person who is so anchored to a belief system and is unbudging that I see that this brings them some sense or feeling of safety, and I can bring understanding to that. There are so many ways that we can cultivate these conditions. Everything from the people who garden, who set up those little libraries on their neighbors' blocks, who bring food to people. Every little thing that we do that cultivates a favorable condition for a neighbor or a friend is doing that. In other words, when we live our life from a place of kindness, we're cultivating that kindness, then everything we do is constantly creating favorable conditions. Kindness becomes a way of life. And this is how we create favorable conditions. It's not what you do, it's the quality of the doing. You can be washing dishes and you can be angry that you have to wash dishes, or you can be grateful that you get to prepare a safe place for people that you love to nourish themselves. This complete 180 shift. My time is running out. I can talk for 4 more days. You got some time? Okay, well, I better end. Thank you so much for who you are and who you are becoming.